We already started with such a mysterious and masked guy trying to steal a gold coin. His opponent asks if he really has such intentions, and he introduces himself as the Orga House Magma Wizard. Rudes Ames, while doing your attack. This masked guy says that he heard that he would be a very aggressive person for his Orga home. But that, with everything he saw, that was just about it. Already in another room of the School of Magic, a wooden puppet appears moving all strange and very suspicious. Now, the next day, Lance says to the Mash that the students who make up the Looper's magic have a high magical power from birth and self-confidence, thus forming the nucleus of the Lang House, and that even the most powerful students at the school would be those of the Looper's magic. He also states that he does not intend to be defensive, but the point for them to be able to steal the coins would be to find out their location. But Mash is too consenting to make his cookies and responds only a bail. Lance questions him about whether he was even listening to him, and hands him a rope provided by his dorm since he completed a month of mashing at his new school. Mash responds with a resounding bail. While Lance thinks he is making fun of himself, Mash says he has a logo stamped on it. Lance points out that it is the symbol of the Adler House, and not a simple logo, and he hopes that this will internalize the spirit of the house. Mash says bail. In that enters the Lemon in the middle of the kitchen and says he has a serious matter about the tone. Mash asks her to wait as her profiterole is on fire. She claims it's about the tone. Mash talks again about her dumplings and she reaffirms her words, and they went to the infirmary, getting their tone very low. But still Weird asks if it's all bamboo, or is it all bamboo? Lemon asks how it got that way. Tom says that even he doesn't know exactly, just that he went to sleep and woke up like this in the infirmary. He also says that he didn't have a dream that night, but that the day before, he was trapped in a mega dark box and his voice didn't come out, but he was fully conscious, and he doesn't know how many hours that frightening dream lasted. Mash pulls out one of his muffins from his pocket and tells Tom that this is when he should have a good profiterole. Lemon asks if his body is okay. Tom says he's a little limp, but he feels like his magic has been sucked out of his body and now he barely has the energy to use it. Lance asks how can there be so many people there, and Tom says that they are like him and that the headmaster was called to the magician's office at just such a time. Lemon asks Mash to get an amulet she made, the Prophetina, saying she has a bad feeling. Mash asks about the noose, and she thinks it's very inelegant, but she asks him not to exaggerate too much, and to carry the amulet always with him, while imagining some spicy things. It's already at night, and everyone is asleep and the lights are off. Lance says that in his opinion these incidents can only be the work of Looper's magic. Mash says it's forbidden for them to be there after the lights go out. Lance comments about him being all straight. Here comes Dot and Finn. Lance asks why they came too. Mash says he felt sorry for leaving them alone. Dot spots little Lemon wandering the hall, and when did he call her? Lance asked her to wait as she was very strange. As she turned around, they hid and her body turned into a wooden puppet with no eyes. Dot is not even a little bit surprised by the situation, stating that even without the eyes, she is cute. Now there is no longer any doubt because this whole situation is about magic. Finn claims that she disappeared and they run after her reaching a dead end. But Finn keeps hearing the sound of creaking wood, meaning she wasn't too far away. Lance tells them to calm down by casting his disclosed spell, which reveals a secret passageway. Dot tries to use his explosive magic, but without getting great results, and wondering what they would do, until Mash took one of the armor and used it as a lever, hurling the door with such force that it broke all the upper levels of the ceiling and falling out of the castle. Lance points out that not only Lemon would be there, but also the Looper's magic, but remembers that Lemon asked him not to try too hard, but that now he wouldn't be able to keep his promise. Finn says he doesn't even want to imagine that there was such an underground floor in the school, and Mash thinks it's cool since it looks like a secret base. Dot is extremely stressed because they are in a situation of extreme danger. Mash all down says he's sorry, while Dot apologizes and says it wasn't for that much. Dot sees a light at the end of the corridor, where upon arriving, he realizes that it is an arena. Behold, Chuan appears saying that they are correct, and that this is a very old arena. Lance is already asking if he has Looper's magic. Chuan says no. The third canine asked him to watch out in case he heard intruders, and that to get past him, they need to bet a coin. Bidding tells them to do it, but Dot really wanted to fight in his place, since Chuan had a pretty face. Dot starts by asking if he has a fan club, Schwan says he does, while Mash says envy starts. Dot says break up every guy who has a rosy life. Finn says it's nice to see all this humiliation. Schwan uses his rosewhip magic, turning the tip of his wand into razors. And at the same time, I was about to start such a fight, bless I apologized for calling director Wahlberg so suddenly. Wahlberg says don't worry, and that you can even imagine the reason for being there. Bless says that 6 prisoners condemned to death escaped from the prison of Hecatrice, and that the person responsible for helping in such an escape would be Innocent Zero. Already on the battlefield, Dot launches a fireball against Schwan, which proves to be ineffective. Schwan asks about them having beaten Silver. All embarrassed, Dot says he was completely defeated. Schwan says that he is a 2-lined mage, but you also can't know anything about a magician just by the amount of power, and he says he's much stronger than Silver. Dot finds this very interesting as he's not going to lose at all. Schwan asks how he will pull off such a feat, and Dot uses his new technique, X-Bomb, surrounding your opponent with several targets, and if he steps on one of them, the explosion strength will be 5 times greater than your traditional magic. Schwan claims there's no way he could fall into such an obvious trap like that, and Dot claims with 100% certainty that he will. Schwan, determined not to move, uses his Absol magic, where Dot tries a counterattack that ends up not working. Schwan uses his grapple technique, trapping Dot with his roots, pulling him off the ground, where Dot ended up dropping his wand. Schwan now uses his stab magic, creating several giant thorns all over the root. Schwan ridicules Dot, saying that his headband looks more like a monobrow, and that he also doesn't have control of his own magic, and says that his next blow would be the last. Dot cries out for him not to do that, but Schwan uses his drop technique, taking Dot quickly into a direct collision with the ground. But it was at that moment that Dot says that in fact those targets surrounding Schwan are time bombs. The first one explodes and Schwan is already without his wand. Now Dot, with his wand in hand, activates all the other markings so that they explode at the same time, making Schwan not believe he lost to him. Dot gets too excited with his results and tells his friends that now they are going to the next one. When looking at his enemy, he is surprised, because even defeated the guy was in a stylish pose, realizing that he doesn't doubt himself and that he respects that. Everything seemed calm until the ground started to swallow them. The Mash begs them to save the little prophet. Lance says that would be the enemy not letting them escape. Finn found a way to cling to the Dot while with great fear he claims to be sinking. Dot thinks he's amazing since his friends are worse off than he is, but his falling reaction shows the complete opposite. Lance was the first to fall and wonders why they were separated, and he feels an immense energy that takes the shape of a ball right on his back. When he looks at the guy, calls him a double-line freshman, and also says he was more interested in the mushroom head. Lance wonders if the magic that brought him there was his, and that he would be in the high ranks of lupus magic. This weirdo says that if he's weak, he'll see, and introduces himself with the 3rd canine from the magic lupus, Worth Maddle, and reaffirms that if he is weak, he will pay dearly. Already in another room, Finn and Dot fall, and Finn, having the bad luck of being very close to the enemies. This girl with pink hair says cheers, it's going to be a piece of cake since they are single line, and introduces herself as the 5th canine, Love Cute. Next to her, also performing, is the 4th canine, Milo Genius. Finn falls into despair since they are 2 double-line magicians, and he is already thanking and saying goodbye to his parents. Dot asks him not to give up, and that he will show the power of protagonism. Love thought it was very cool, and that way he really looks like a protagonist. And now in the last room, the Mash falls wondering where everyone is, and a voice asks if he had separated from his friends, and when he looks to the side, the room lights up. Right in front of him, the masked man, presenting himself as the 2nd canine of the lupus magic, and his name is Abyss Razor, also saying it was a pleasure to meet him. Mash reciprocates in a simple way. Abyss points out that Mash's movements when they met, they were really wonderful, and Mash thanks him with a simple thanks. Abyss still says that at that moment, he realized that Mash doesn't use magic, and asks if that's right. Mash gets all nervous imagining that someone had discovered his little secret, and says in a stammering way that it's nothing like that. Abyss asks if he would be shaking. Mash says who? I'm not. Abyss says he doesn't need to worry, and that he's like Mash, an abominable existence, and claims he has his reasons for being there, and that he also has his own reasons, pointing a sword at the boy Mash. Mash asks if by any chance he believes he will win, claiming to tear him to shreds with all his might. Thank you so much for making it this far. Don't forget to subscribe to receive more content like this daily, and see you next time.